glad to see we have a lot of people coming today. So I'm Michael Nelson. I introduced myself. We have Lindsay, Peter, and Tom. You probably all know them. So we do have a forum, so we can bring the meeting to order. Kate's online. We also have Daniel Froelich, who's online. And I don't know whether you guys have talked to Daniel. He's been doing a fair amount of work, so hope he's not feeling well, but hopefully he can. Okay.
Minutes as presented.
Second. Okay. All in favor? Kate?
Aye.
Kate says aye. I say aye. Tom? Said aye. Okay, so they're accepted. Unfortunately, Susan is ill, so she will not be here. She has been ill for a while now, so the survey that she did is still being accumulated. She hasn't had a chance to follow up on a lot of stuff, so we're gonna have to defer that until she's feeling a little bit better and can get us. She's gotten about 13 or 14 responses. A lot of them were somewhat incomplete, but people did provide names. So when she's feeling better, she's gonna get back with and see what you can do. And then we do have to do the off-island piece. But again, she's been ill and has not been able to do that.
Kate has her hand raised.
Oh, Kate?
Thanks, Michael. I'm so sorry to hear that Susan's been ill. I'm wondering, is there anything that the rest of us can do to help support the survey distribution in the meantime?
I don't know. I think a lot of it depends on how she feels over the next couple of days, but she was planning on getting back to people. I can ask her and solicit from her whether or not anybody can jump in and help. And then we'll get back to you.
And those responses are from what distribution of the?
It went out in last month's mailing, didn't it?
Yes, it was just the paper form went out with the December mailing.
Right, and
We haven't done the off-island survey yet.
and she has not gotten to that. Yes. So it was the mailing, plus I believe it was also out at the front desk here. So some were picked up. I don't know how many total were actually handed out.
So the off-island survey, who is that going to go to? How is it going to be distributed?
It was going to be distributed to people who were commuting on the ferry. So try to remember his name. Susan was going to do it. Young fellow that works over at Boardman Cottage had volunteered to do it. I can't remember his name right now. So there were about 3 people.
But it's a paper survey. It's a paper survey. Be handed to everybody who got off the ferry.
Yeah. So, and it was going to, do both morning and evening.
So it seems like that is something some of the rest of us could assist in if we need to.
Yep. Okay, so I will ask her, Kate, see if there's anything that anybody else can jump in on while she's recovering. Okay, Peter and Kate, you guys were gonna discuss the marketing aspect, and you really haven't. She looks frozen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember where we left it off.
And Kate, please weigh in on this, that we haven't really a marketing plan, and I feel like it's really important that we do. So there are things about this island and its future that should be very attractive, and I think we ought to get the word out. Acknowledging we're in competition with a lot of other communities in the neighborhood.
And we're one piece of, I know, the plan that you guys were looking at. talked about how you market what we have here on the island?
So we have just voted to increase the budget that the school has to put towards the magnet coordinator. And one piece of that effort is marketing the island and the school. It's still not a lot of money. I mean, I think we're upping it from 5 to 15,000, which is that's a big jump for the school. But I definitely think that the town, if we could do these things not in a siloed way, but to think about, whoever is chosen for this position, I think our superintendent may have somebody in mind that they work with this committee or with other people in the town to kind of broaden it to, what we're really trying to do is sell the school, but having people live on the island to send their kids to school here is a much better prospect than just getting the high school kids. I mean, I think we're in such a population decline that we are very focused on the high school magnet program. But the broader issue is how do we get families with school-age children to live on the island? And I think that will require some investment from the town as well. But if we find a good marketing person, then I think the efforts could be combined. That's just my.
So I would agree. I mean, I think, when we think about what we have available to us, we've got a housing committee, we have IAP, we have IESC, we have the school. If everybody came up with a plan, we'd have 4 different plans costing
Correct.
4 different loads of money, and that just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I do agree with you 100% that we should come together as an overall organization to support everything that we need. I mean, I realize that, we've been very focused on housing, but you guys have additional things that you're looking at. But I'm sure that they benefit from the whole thing. I mean,
Mike?
Yes,
Oh, I guess you can hear me.
yes, I can.
So when you get, I have a couple things to say about this, but when you get a break,
Sure.
I've got a new laptop, so things are just not working quite right. But anyway, so.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say is, from the housing committee point of view, we also have Kate, Susan West, and myself who sit on the board of IAP, and IAP is very interested in coming together with the whole group. Barbara was going to be here tonight, but she's another one who's come down with something, and so.
It's a bad flu.
Are there any of these contagious?
Yeah, let's hope not. I mean, the good news from an IAP perspective is that the 2 houses that were just completed are now filled, and they're filled with island residents, and both families either have or will have kids going to school. And so that's a very positive, and that was one of the thrusts in terms of filling those places, which was the key was, island people either working on the island or, already living on the island who were in need of housing. And those were main housing driven. So they were under the, pretty much a lot of the duplex applicants were single people.
This year is gonna be enormous.
Okay.
And one of the things that I know we're gonna talk about on the school committee is, can we offer any sort of housing subsidy, housing advantage, housing optionality for people who come into that candidate pool? Because we're gonna have a hard time filling those positions if we don't.
So do we have any idea of the demography of the applicants or the possibility? I mean, would some of them be interested in one of the duplexes, for instance?
They might be, right?
So the answer is no, we don't have any clear insight into it. Now, historically, what we can say is that we attract teachers that some, we'll go with 50-50, right? Some want to live on the island, some prefer to stay on the mainland. And so, you know, if we had options, housing options, I think the probability of being able to hire teachers that would like to move their families out here is there.
Okay. And I know when the school does go out to find a new teacher, you cast a wide net. It's not just on the immediate locations, but you might get an applicant from another state that would more than likely move here if that were feasible.
100%. And last year we actually had somebody who was moving from out of state last minute, had a family emergency and was not able to move here, but they were moving their entire family here with 2 school-age children, I think it was at the time. So yes, so it is.
Well, we were scrambling for a housing option.
Exactly.
A rental option, yeah.
It was a challenge.
Daniel, you said you had some thoughts on that?
Yes, well, it really, they go to this point about coordination and cohesiveness. And this committee has generated, and when I looked at the minutes, so many great ideas about how to drive various aspects of sustainable population, sustainable Islesboro forward. But there needs to be coordination. There needs to be some innovation. There are pieces missing. Things are siloed. So as a number of you know, I promised a proposal to the select board before Christmas, and I haven't sent it to you yet. But the proposal I want to make to the select board and have circulated to the community so that people give feedback, but also to the extent feel driven or so forth, will sign on to the letter. So, and what the proposal would do is it asks the board to convene a committee that's a Sustainable Islesboro Campaign Committee, and hire a director for that effort. And then to join forces with the school committee and IAP and so forth, so that all of these efforts get coordinated. So an example of innovation, right? As this committee has talked about, there needs to be marketing. There is no one's doing any marketing of the island or the island community, and we have so much to offer. So that would be an innovation. At a prior meeting, it was mentioned about the Islesboro Economic Sustainability Committee working with a builder to try to help establish some kind of business that would help do renovations to buildings or create these tiny homes. So that's an example of a collaboration between 2 committees, right? So there's so much. The committee would not sort of take over. Its job would be, and the director's job as an administrator would be to come up with ideas, but facilitate the work that's already being done, and its coordination and the synthesis and the synergies and so forth, so that a campaign that really drives results can happen. So that's what I'm working on.
When are you going to be able to publish your document?
You know, when I told you about it, I promised I would send it over the weekend, and that was several weeks ago. So I hate to make promises, but I hope by this weekend I will be done. With my
Brian and the select board are going to be working on.
I'll throw something out on the table if you don't mind, which is that I know of at least one person connected to the island, Joel Post, who has that works in finance and municipal finance, is something we talked to him about. But if the community would bring, it doesn't have to be Joel's group, it could be somebody else. I'm sure a lot of people are connected to finance this way, but to present options to the community about successful municipal finance initiatives where there's been, I mean, I'm just not an expert on this, I don't know if anyone on the select board is, but what are initiatives, whether totally public or public-private, that have been successful in, you know, helping communities become more sustainable, increasing housing stocks being the primary goal, but like, just having somebody come talk to people about what options are out there so that we're not, you know, it's a heavy burden for Shay and her fellow select board members to think about an investment, even if it's partly, you know, it's partly funded through private money. If the community's gonna invest in something like this, we wanna do it with the best thinking, and not reinvent the wheel if other communities have, you know, done a municipal finance project of this magnitude.
You know, absolutely, Jennifer, I support the initiative. We have had a history on the island recently of successful public-private partnerships that were partly funded through municipal finance, i.e. the health center and the Up Island garage and so on, which were basically 50-50.
Okay.
And I don't think, I would just say, to Dan's point, I think the piece that's missing right now, and not in any way putting aside the need for creative financing solutions, we don't really have a handle here on what nut we're trying to crack. There is the housing committee, there is IAP, there's IES, there is the school committee, there's individuals like Dan and myself who have ideas about how to do this, but Dan's suggestion of this subcommittee, which I will bring to the select board and make sure that we have whatever benediction we need to come up with a strategic plan that incorporates all of your great ideas, yours and Philippe's, Dan's, my own, IAP. There are components that we know about, financing being one of them, marketing being another one. The curriculum suggestions that you made at the school committee, I think, should be part of the marketing plan. How to attract more teachers, how to attract young families, whether or not the survey that has been proposed that is going to be handed out to the people getting off the ferry, what happens to those, the response. I think we need an umbrella, and I think this was where Dan was going, that coordinates these various activities. I am ready to bring a financing proposal. I think it's absurd that the town is not supporting financially the construction of affordable housing on the island. I think this should be a public-private partnership. It is everywhere else. Why isn't it here? And what I've been told by Shay is we need a plan. And the proposal will be there.
So is the budget issue for this year a director, somebody to run this, right? So it's not just a purely volunteer.
Yes.
Oh, no, sorry.
Sorry.
After you finish, Kate has her hand raised. I just
Okay.
wanted to point that out.
I think there is a short-term issue here. The school budget for attracting new faculty members, whatever that you were speaking about just now. But I think that's a parallel. Shares whatever costs are involved between private contributions, which we have been very successful in the past at raising millions of dollars on this island through private contributions. But what are we going to these people to fund right now? It's very unclear. And I think it's the same problem at the municipal level. What are we asking for? $15,000 for increase in the school budget to increase attracting magnet students? Fine, that's a piece of cake, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're staying in our
We have
lane,
a
we're staying in our lane,
We
right?
have-
It's the problem is that we're in the school lane, right? And that's what we can propose is
Yeah.
marketing the school. If there's an initiative where the school committee can collaborate with others, where I think you would find we're all for it.
Absolutely. Sorry. Kate, I'm sorry to go on.
No, absolutely. I really appreciate all the discussion. I had a couple of points that I wanted to make. One, I completely agree that better coordination amongst all these stakeholders would be really, really helpful. And I think there's a lot of creative ideas that members of the community, including many of the folks here, have, and pulling those together. I do agree that having staff to help make sure we don't lose our momentum on, just looking at, the things that happened between our November meeting and today. I think having staff would be really helpful if we're interested in proposing that to the town. And I also think that if we were going to do some dedicated funding for someone to help coordinate the creation of a sustainability plan or a strategic plan, that funding could then, maybe that's the short-term use of that funding stream, but in the longer term, that becomes revenue that we use to dedicate towards the solution. So maybe it's staff in the short term, but that it becomes, it changes purpose after the planning process. I could see that potentially happening. I also think I would just want to share for the folks on the school board that we have some of the ideas that we've explored around financing include tax increment financing. We've looked at a number of potential municipal funding streams for housing, but most of them are currently illegal under state law. So I had a good conversation with folks from the Maine Municipal Association in December about what their housing priorities are, and none of them currently include any of the things we've talked about wanting to change in terms of state statute to allow us to raise funds locally. However, they're at the process of beginning a new exploration to get ready for 2027. And so I think that there is some room there to work with the 3 representatives from Waldo County on their policy committee, and to work with other municipalities to look at pushing for a statewide campaign if we do decide that some of those currently unallowed funding streams would be really helpful for us. And we have also been exploring coordination with other municipalities, both regional projects, as well as just learning from other municipalities. And I think one of the things that Michael shared in advance of the meeting was the most recent notes from the Island Institute Islands meeting, as well as the Mid-Coast Council of Governments. And the Island Institute has just created a new survey where they're asking all of the islands to put in everything they have done around housing. So there might be some interesting ideas that come out of that as well. So I really like this idea of better coordination because there's so many great ideas and so many people who are so committed to figuring this out. I'm really looking forward to the survey results because I do agree we really need answers as to what is it that we're trying to solve for right now, and what does sustainability of our community look like from our community. And I'm curious if there's a timeline that we need to have a proposal to the select board in terms of a funding request. Like if we're asking the town to dedicate $15,000 out of the municipal budget for a planning process that then could become similar to Stonington's revenue stream. Like they've got a dedicated revenue stream for housing. They just have a portion of the budget that goes towards housing, and then they have that fund available for different uses. So I don't know if we have, how long we would have to come up with a request for the town, and if it is a coordination request, if that's something that we would want to talk with, in addition to the school board, the IESC and any of the other, I could even imagine some of the other town committees being interested in having that kind of coordination take place. So those are my thoughts and my question.
Do you know when the town meeting is scheduled?
We're reviewing the
Yes,
audit, please, Carrie.
town meeting
Mhm.
is mid-May, so
Okay.
it's May 16th, Saturday.
So to answer the question is that part of the town meeting is obviously the town budget and the school budget. And so if you're looking for a timeline, things have got to be put together in order to be synthesized into both of those. And, I'm not sure, I don't know, that where we are today versus, asking for a whole slew of money at that point in time. I'm not sure that it's there. So asking to put together a municipal, whether it's a director or, discussing the options as was recommended by you guys, that, I think that's a tremendous idea. I've done financing both in terms of, small business and large business, but it's all been business related. It has never been municipal related. So I'm really kind of, I'd be in the dark to even think about what that would take. The concern I have is some of the things that other municipalities are doing are more what I would consider short term. So example would be, I had a conversation with the people at the Mid-Coast Council of Governments, and they've actually drafted an ordinance, a local ordinance for short-term rental fees, taxation, et cetera. The concern that I get as I go through that and other kinds of things, there's up in Hancock County, it might even be Bar Harbor, I'm not sure, is actually looking at putting a fee, a tax. I'm not sure exactly how they're gonna do it on empty homes. But if you're gonna look at a public-private solution to this, which really talks about fundraising, either from a municipal point of view and then going private, some of these shorter term aspects are somewhat counterproductive because you're going to be taxing the same people that you're going to be looking to be your contributors to especially on the private part. So, it takes a lot more than just saying, yeah, let's go do that. It does take somebody who can sit back and say, here are municipal financing options that are available. And let's take a look at it and which one is right for us, which one is right for us, being that we would take both to the town and the select board as well as the community at some point in time. And so I think jumping into short-term solutions isn't necessarily the answer. It really is a longer-term viewpoint. And so that might say that the short term might be the planning piece, the part that Daniel talked about, somebody who's in charge of bringing it all together, and addressing more than just one of the needs, because we sit around, we've got housing, and we've got IESC, we have the community center, we have the community fund and all of that, but they're all going after the same dollars. And we've been, I think, as a town, very fortunate in the past with the amount of money that's been raised. But it does bring back, if you keep going back to the well, how often can you go without a definitive plan? That is much more encompassing than a bunch of individual sets of needs. So that's a lot talking and not a lot of solution.
And I apologize for the question, because I probably, if it exists, I just haven't done the research, but have we done the math in terms of what is the magic number of houses that gives enough people enough housing stock to be able to cycle, death rates and birth rates and have enough people in the school? I mean, we're at X today, we're land constrained, we need Y at the end. How far away are we from that optimal number of houses?
We had some input from state level about a year ago that they had done some significant investigations and said, as we all knew, that there was a housing shortage in the nation, in the state, and in Mid-Coast Maine. And the numbers that they threw out were just for the two counties here, Knox and Waldo, were large. I don't remember
Yeah,
what
they were
the number of houses.
So Mid-Coast Council of Governments has a
Yeah.
data analyst on their
And-
staff who does significant amount of work. And actually, anybody, it's on their website, you can go take a look at it. And
Have we drilled that down just for Islesboro? I mean, I know that there's a housing shortage, writ large.
they
right?
do.
But just for us, do we need
I don't-
700 houses or 500 houses or? 800?
No one knows. Every time we do a survey, like we're in the process of doing right now, this is a little snapshot of what you get for opinions from people that live here, people that are commuting on the ferry. Every time we do that, there is a significant number, when we did this 10 years ago, there were 20 people that said that they would live here if there were, at that time, childcare was an issue. But now that we have such a wonderful preschool, that's not an issue anymore. But every time we do it, yes, there is a significant number, but all that is just a snapshot. I don't know that there's any way to quantify that. I do know that we could take this evidence from IAP's recent offerings. They were certainly able to fill those 2, 4, 6 units with others that were hoping to find housing, but either couldn't afford what IAP was offering or some other problem.
One of the things we found when we did that, so nobody here works for the IRS, do they? Okay. There are a number of people who applied for a house and, like any landlord, if you would, looking, for tenants, required some kind of input. And over half of them did not have an income that would indicate that they could afford to pay the rent. Yet they were all paying rent today. And when you kind of dig down on a personal level, a lot of them were working for cash. And so somehow we gotta be able to acknowledge that, I guess. Having a conversation with somebody saying, well, someday you're gonna want Social Security, you better start putting, something in the books. But there are a number of people who are on the island that are making their living in cash. And typically, they're getting into private homes is what we discovered. And either people want their homes back or the folks who are there want a different situation.
So, Jennifer, has the school or anyone else is there a target population for the school, which would be
Yeah.
sustainable, desirable?
I think desirable,
Yes.
and when we talk about population of school, we tend to talk about it in terms of magnet programs, we tend to talk
Yes.
about it in terms of junior high and high school. And the target is 10 to 12 students per grade would be ideal.
And we don't have anything like that.
No, and it's declining.
Did we
Yeah, it's,
ever,
it, we're-
when we
Yes.
had?
so yeah, oh no,
Yes.
if you go back to the early 90s.
Yeah.
We were not that far off from there, and
So
so.
we were at 120 or something.
Yes,
at one
it's like
time.
120.
128 in 1995. Year.
So we have now,
Now we're
I
at
think next
55.
year.
55 heading to 40.
4, that's what
Yeah.
I understand.
So if you talk about it in terms of an ideal population, that's for students, that's about where we talk about it. I think the student population should be a little bit smaller per grade and for the younger grades, and that's purely based on physical space that we have in the school without having to build out additional space. So that's what we would like to target.
Without even getting to the question of how many affordable houses we can or should be trying to build, that
Right.
is one.
And
That's a
that-
baseline number, right?
Yeah,
Where you're
right.
looking,
Right.
talking about, what,
Yeah.
30 families,
Yeah.
40 families?
We don't need to do
bring
a
that number.
survey to get to that.
Yeah, I think that's actionable, to be honest with you.
And it's interesting, right, so we were at that point, at that number, 128, we had, what, 4 magnet students at the
Yeah.
time? And I think there was no affordable housing at the time. And so it's just been interesting, that's why I asked the question, right? What is if we were at 128 in 1995 and now we're at 55, and there's a cycle for age and kids and who's moving and who's staying and those things.
What is desirable is almost academic. It's a question of how do we make it a quantum leap here, even
Yeah.
if it's only 25 students
Right.
instead of the 50 that we think we might be desirable.
Exactly, what could be, I mean, to me, given what the numbers are, you can almost start with what could we, in the next 3 to 5 years, what could we fund realistically
Right.
through a public-private effort? Could we add 15 or 20 new homes on the island? Is that a feasible project, right? To me, it still wouldn't get us to our.
The island, unless we've got to somehow, some contributions went into that, and then IAP had to borrow money to complete the 2 houses. So, and that's not sustainable. 500,000 is probably what a house costs, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And it's really not a big house, it's a nice house, but it's nice because it's brand new. That's just a lot of money for that kind of a house, and to expect somebody to come in and have to buy, so if you were looking for a school teacher or you're looking for a plumber or an electrician, that also has kids that are gonna go to school, which says they're a little bit younger than what we're getting, that's a lot of money for somebody to buy a house with. And so someplace, and again, if you're looking at municipal financing, how do you do it, and how do you spread the costs so that you can make the housing stock that has the target group affordable to that group? Is it rent? Is it buy? And the other thing that IAP certainly has is how do you keep that as an affordable house, not for the current tenant, but for the next tenant, rather than turn around and sell it for $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. And again, I'm not coming up with an answer. Just
Kate has her hand raised
here
again.
you go. So does Dan. Kate.
Thanks. I just wanted to name too that one of the goals for the folks who are not committee members, one of the goals with the survey was to try and tease out why is it that people are leaving, or why is it that they aren't moving here, and to understand how much of it is our housing stock and the price of housing versus other reasons. And really trying to understand how much is it either ferry hassle or ferry rates, how much of it is how more quiet it is at night. What are the reasons that people are choosing not to live here, so that I think understanding that will both help us with, understanding both why people do want to live here and why they don't, will help us with these solutions. And so if others know of other ways in addition to this small sample of our survey, to try and get at that information, then while we've got guests tonight, I just want to raise that question, because I think understanding the balance of factors that are part of people's decisions will be really important, both for how we market the island and the school, as well as how we prioritize different aspects of our solutions.
I think that's an amazing point of great importance. I'm not sure that we, you know, again, I think the issue is important enough to move and not just to survey. Because we've heard from many people on the island who already live here. People want a restaurant or they want social connectivity. We need social infrastructure. You know, I've heard, like, why do we not have a Christmas tree lighting, you know, a community-wide Christmas tree lighting on the island? Like I'm sure many things, traditions and, you know, we have our 4th of July traditions or whatnot, but people want social infrastructure as well. And I think that the town, that is something also worth investing in. I think if we recognize that a year-round gathering spot that serves food needs to be subsidized, right? Period. And that'll keep it open all year round. It just does, and we'd all benefit from it. That's not the usual private market model, but I think that I hear demand for it everywhere I go. And every time these discussions come up, people would love to have a gathering spot, a place to have a meal, a place to watch sports, a place to, you know, hang out with members of the community.
We have with IESC in place. IESC is solely owned by the town of Islesboro. So we are a corporation, but we move at the beck and call of the select board and the community. If the community via the select board can see that vision clearly enough and command us to follow through with that, we are in a position to do just that, to build something, own something, operate something. We're a corporation, so we can do that. This is in place now. For IESC board, we've had a hard time trying to reconcile the fact that we don't want to step on the toes of IAP, another nonprofit that's in the business of housing. So we've tried to sort of restrict ourselves in offering our aid to local businesses to do that building or that investment, and we would be there as a financial step up for them with low cost loans, but we could do other things. I struggle myself exactly to know how to proceed, but we do have this financial structure that IESC can accept gifts written to the town for a specific purpose. Well, for a specific purpose, not for a specific purpose, but they can, a citizen can give money to IESC, obtain a tax benefit from that, and then we can use that as the town sees fit.
There's a, you know, at the school committee meeting at the Kennecott Center, there was very strong consensus, I think, that the social infrastructure was pretty important. There is, as you probably know, at least by inference at this point, a very long history in Islesboro of trying to create restaurants, food service, and there is no reason why the cafe couldn't be expanded rather than starting from scratch. But you have to realize there is decades of history in the 55 years I've been coming to this island. I think I've experienced a dozen different restaurants that were proposed and failed ultimately after a period of time. So it's not just a matter of money. It's a matter of a critical mass again of anyway, I'm very, very sensitive to that issue. And in fact, I approached the community center board with the idea of privately expanding the food service there. And I got a tepid response.
I mean, I've heard Sky talk about, the, you know, does anyone want to invest in a losing business proposition? But, you know, a membership sort of model is something that he's talked about that I thought was very innovative thinking around that.
And I'm not trying to say I know better here, because I don't.
No, you just have a lot of wisdom.
They-
and learned experience.
We had a coffee shop in the back of the Island Market for decades that somehow disappeared.
Durkee's
Has a luncheonette facility that nobody ever uses anymore.
Well,
We
now
have,
they're
we have some,
frozen foods aisle.
we have some infrastructure there, which is sitting there waiting to be discovered and operated. And it's just been.
And finding an operator is, again, I know it's been a problem, okay, so.
Yeah.
You know, Laura Reed had a tremendous business there. And when she went to work for the school, it's been through 3 or 4 iterations and nothing has worked. And so.
And people get tired. So when you suggested the $15,000 for staff, what is the job description of that person?
So it is, the job description is technically the magnet coordinator. Right?
Magnet
So,
coordinator.
and it's reviving a position that existed
Mhm.
pre-COVID, with a bit of an expanded mandate around, more aggressive marketing, across communities on the mainland, where we are, you know, providing enough of a stipend, that we can go beyond, you know, paper flyers, right? We really have to hold, I think, real meetings with potential prospective parents. We have to do tours, we have to, you know, really, connect them with people on the island to, make it
And
an
there were
exciting-
some magnet parents of magnet students at that Connecticut Center meeting that I talked to,
Yes.
and lived in Northport and other communities.
Yeah, and typically, you know, parents, and word of mouth marketing is the most important marketing for any school. I mean, that's true in New York City today, like, you know. So I know that it can be very powerful to engage students, current students, former students, and parents who have had the privilege of going to school on this island and have had, you know, that exciting experience to be able to be part of the marketing efforts.
And I think your suggestions, Jennifer, or the committee's suggestions of how to identify curricular developments that would be attractive is a fabulous idea. And
And they're not all new. These are
No.
things that were here when we had a bigger population
right,
and a bigger faculty, right? Even my son's friends said that the Pathways program was one of the most, that's what got them here in the first place, right? Those curricular offerings that just don't exist in mainland schools. There isn't that kind of individualized attention and opportunity. And also the science program that is now been developed, where we have, you know, real hands-on marine science learning. That's not, you know, Belfast is trying to copy that, I've heard, but like, that's really special. And I think it can
Absolutely.
get people to say, I wanna get my kid into that, so.
And I have strong confidence that you're gonna see the magnet program revitalized. I mean, basically, the Magnet program is a result of the investment that's made in the Magnet program. So even if you take COVID out of the mix, right? So we had a very strong Magnet program. We had an administration that came in that basically gutted the funding for it, removed the Magnet coordinator, didn't invest in it at all. And you saw the result of that, which was now you see a decrease in the number of Magnet students. So the current administration, the current school board is investing in that. And so I think that you're gonna see that Magnet population come back. It doesn't happen overnight. It's gonna take a sustained effort. But we have a great product. We have a great school. We produce students that go to the highest caliber schools in the country. We produce students that go internationally. We produce the high level athletes. We produce, the education, the experience you gain from Islesboro will resonate with the mainland students, and you're going to see the MAG program come back strong as ever. It's just, it doesn't happen overnight. It
So,
takes some time.
just to educate me, there was a coordinator who was fired.
There was a coordinator that resigned because she moved away and got a different job. And
When was that?
what was that? It was
Pre-COVID, isn't it?
no, it wasn't because it was during my first term. I don't know, I'm gonna ballpark it 3 years ago,
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
something like that. So it existed, and then it just magically was removed, and so now we have magically created it back again. So,
So Daniel, I wanted. Daniel?
Thank you. So all the things that have been said, to me, are the arguments for why we need a committee to quarterback all of these activities, and we need a director who's a full-time paid person who has experience in community development and so forth, who will bring the administrative piece. So the committee is providing the quarterbacking and helping with innovation and so forth. And the director is the person that is doing the on the ground work. I think part of this, to me, and it's in my proposal, a part of this is community involvement. So, when the 2018 plan was created, there were some workshops done with the community, and I'd like to see this process start with professionally facilitated community workshops where the community is encouraged to come out and sit down and learn what the bad news is about sustainability and the school projected school enrollment and so forth, get its hands around it, and then look at what's our vision? What is the community? What is the sustainable, vibrant community that we're looking for? And what are the goals for a campaign? And I'm thinking about a 5-year initial campaign. What should our goals be? And then this committee takes all that feedback and develops a roadmap that's very specific about initiatives, strategy, action items, deadlines, evaluation metrics. So not that it wouldn't change, but so that we know exactly what we're doing and stuff will get done. And part of the administrator's job is to go to people and say, hey, you need to move along here or whatever. The quarterbacking, right? So there's research that needs to be done. There are other organizations that we can get ideas from. There's, in my mind, this on the housing front, can the community pass an ordinance so that it has a right of first refusal to buy properties that go on the market? So it has an opportunity to get properties that need renovation or whatever that can be brought into the affordable housing cycle. Can the community, I know that under Maine law, the municipality can use its right of eminent domain, right? How could we use that? But so the committee is a quarterback to do some of the work itself, have the director do some of the work, but also say to the select board, we need a committee to look into this. We need somebody to do that. And by having the community involved and invested from the start, my hope is that people will be energized and excited about this, and they will sign up to do some of the work. So and I think all of this can be processed, and it needs to be processed. Everything everyone said is really important, and it needs to be processed and thought through and discussed and so forth.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot. There are a couple of little things that people have committed to do, but what I'm getting out of this conversation, the two big things. One is the need to study municipal financing options. What can the town do on a public-private basis? And the other one is what Daniel is talking about, which is coming up with a plan is to bring all of this together. To me, that's the start that you have to have. You have to have a place to go that says, we're going to study it, we're going to bring concrete, actionable items to the table, rather than just throw out a whole bunch of ideas. Because I don't believe that would work. It's got to be actionable, and it has to be doable. And so I guess what I'm saying is, Daniel, if you can share the work that you've done, I'm happy to work with you to flesh this out so that we can get it in front of the select board, in front of the interested party. I think the interested parties first have to take a look at it and say, yay, verily, this is really what we want to do, and then to take it to the decision makers. And the other piece of it is, you guys have been talking to obviously somebody that you know in your community that has municipal financing background. Is there something that we can learn from that? Whether it's an introduction, is it something that we need to pay somebody to consult with us on, but at least give us some ideas on direction to go? Those are the two, I think, immediate actions that we can take, that hopefully can help us drive a plan together that I think at least the folks in this room are comfortable with.
Have you actually talked to Joel about any of his ideas, or just?
No, just Philippe and I were talking, I mean, we had talked to him this summer about these issues, and I think, creative municipal finance, I mean, it's, like you said, it sounds like it's happened here before, but I just want to make sure that without spending money, I think we have connections and we have, people in the community that would be interested in laying out, here's what other communities have done that has been successful. So that's one thought.
I would just say, Dan, that we have this fairly robust panoply of committees studying different parts of this problem already. And rather than act as if we're starting from scratch here, I think convening these existing committees or representatives thereof to think creatively about the future is a more immediate approach. What scares me about this is that if it's very broad, we've all been on boards with have strategic planning processes that go on and on and on. And I think we have some immediate problems here we really need to address immediately. So I'm thinking, how do we make the committee and the administrative director position as feasible immediately as possible.
Right, as opposed to creating a new committee, collapse a couple of the existing committees into, for those who want to do it. I think that for me, the idea that there are some budget implications in the short term. So for example, if we were going to say a staff member to kind of bring this together and to be quarterbacking it. I heard that as a suggestion. The other was, a professionally facilitated workshops for the town, I think that's a fabulous idea and is usually part of a strategic planning process, right? If you're gonna do a strat plan, you would hold those kind of, so is the town open to funding a strategic planning, a professionally facilitated strategic plan that could, really help quarterback this?
I have a suggestion, if I may. It strikes me that there may be two ways to do this in parallel. One, which is this strategic planning oversight committee, long duration set of identification of projects and like. But the other may be to identify right now for the May meeting of the town 3 or 4 things that we have enough consensus on that we know we can move forward on. We know we want 20 to 40 more homes. We know we want some kind of expansion of a social entertainment center, whether that's an expansion at one of the markets or the community center or otherwise. We want that to work. We know we need the school to expand in certain ways to avoid the death spiral. It seems to me if we can limit ourselves to 3, perhaps those 3, perhaps 4 things that we all agree are, whatever the range of ideas about the future of Islesboro, these seem to be at the center. And if we have enough consensus on it, it may be, we could say to the town, look, obviously shaping the future of Islesboro is complicated. Designing something that listens to all the constituencies will take time. We want to do that right. We want to be sensitive to the different populations and the different needs and different conceptions of community. But here are 3 things that we know we need if there's going to be a future for this town. And perhaps let's adopt those. Let's get town consensus. However this is done at the select board, I don't know the right history or procedure to do it. But if we could get that consensus, then maybe we could also say, look, the town will agree, everyone will agree. There will be a little bit of a public burden in terms of the financing. There are lots of ways Joel said his team could come and talk about it. If we could just get these 3 or 4 things and do it early, before the school collapses and before the prospect of attracting young people to this community disappears, then maybe that will. But start the investment process.
I feel some impatience as you're expressing that we come up with some solutions, some ways of immediately addressing some of these problems while we study the more comprehensive, longer term solution.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't want to steal Zach's thunder for the town meeting, but I expect our budget.
I already planned, like May 16th, I'm on vacation.
You're gonna, Zach's leaving the country. But I mean, to keep the school, to be the school that attracts more magnet students, we're gonna have to go through a period of investment. Because right now our teachers are strained to the absolute max. Teachers that could be offering electives and deepening our pathways program are teaching middle school. And that is not a recipe for getting kids to come here.
Really is one of the.
Not if we're cost cutting at every turn and losing faculty because of the decreasing enrollment.
I just want to point out that anything that is going to be presented at town meeting needs to go through the select board during the budget process, which is in March.
Okay, well,
Here we go.
the standard bearer is going to take, if we have a plan, I will make sure it gets on that agenda.
Can I ask for IAP, like what is the plan for IAP next year? Like how many houses is
I asked
IAP?
that question earlier.
I don't think that exists today because there's a funding deficit at this point.
Do
And
you
so-
know how much you would need? Like if you were to say we're gonna build 5 more houses next year?
Yeah, so each one of the duplexes that was built, well, the one duplex that was built, and the one that's actually on the board was, a little over $400,000. And that's again, a new build on donated land.
Mhm.
The 400, already has its septic and water. Right, so it's just, building a stick-built house. The 3-bedroom homes were a little over 500,000 each. So that's what you're kind of looking at, when you do this. And, it's really a case, things that we've kind of come up against in the past are not just cost, but finding a builder to come out and do it. All right,
Say it
So-
isn't so.
yeah, so, it's,
It was easy, somebody else would have already done it.
that's right. So, well, even the houses over here, it was not, the builders who are finishing them were not the ones that started them. So, there were changes midstream that had to take place. So, and as I said, Maine Housing doesn't have any money now that we can go after for that. So whatever we do is gonna be, so IAP, is trying to fill the budget gap from what they had already planned. So looking at what comes next, is something that's, I think, very difficult for them to look at now.
Which goes back to the same question of, we've touched upon a number of times, which is how do we change this into a public-private partnership, which makes it not just entirely on the shoulders of half a dozen people who are on this
Correct,
IAP committee
Correct.
to go out and privately raise the money.
right. The reason I asked is to say, like, let's just say $3 million to raise 2 of it privately, get the town to commit in this year's budget, a third of that. And then suddenly, you could start to see 5 more units. But if we wait, we know how long it
Well,
takes.
the 500 becomes 550 or 6.
Exactly. But I don't think that there's a huge risk to saying that we couldn't find renters for
Well, I
that
think,
many more new units, given all the people commuting here to
Right.
work all the time.
I don't doubt it a bit.
no,
Yeah.
I think,
We find people.
one of the, and IAP found this when they were building houses, one of the issues you get is the people you try to talk to and attract today are never the people who are gonna end up moving into them. So it really is, it's a moving target, so to speak.
Right.
But the, every time they did it, there was always a very positive response. So they, as I said, when we went out for applications, so there were 4 units and we had close to 20 applications. So,
I think what I said to our superintendent just this weekend was that offering a housing subsidy of some sort is gonna be the number one lever we can pull to attract new teachers to the island. We have a lot of spots to fill.
okay. We have the one suggestion relative to an action plan, I think is one that we have to literally start working on now. And I agree with you, there's gotta be, a select set that everybody agrees should be going, can't go with a lot. I'm not sure I'm ready to go ask for a restaurant yet, but not that I don't want one. But
I'll do it.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I went to the New Year's, group, so, celebration, and most of the people have been on this island for decades, and it was an hour and a half discussion about all the different places that they used to go to. I mean, and so everybody is kind of missing that. There's no doubt about it. It's really, can we find some way to make it sustainable for whoever takes it over? I mean, it's nice to say that you can subsidize it, but unless you can keep it busy, the people who are gonna do it aren't gonna wanna do it. So, it has to have both sides. It's gotta have the supply and demand, so to speak, so. Okay, I think we have a lot to cogitate on. And there are lots of things that we can start doing right now. As soon as I get the notes and can go through all of this. And, but I appreciate everybody coming.
Thank you.
Lot to think about. And I do believe that we have the support. I mean, Barbara was gonna be here until she got sick, but she clearly, from an IAP perspective, is on board with doing a group set of work. IESC is here, Housing Committee's here, and obviously the town is here. So we just need to get to work, and having the school be part of this is really
Can I
critical.
make a suggestion that we take a representative from each one of those groups and have a second meeting to discuss how to move ahead, at least with Philippe's suggestion of what are the 3 or 4 things that we can move ahead on right away.
Absolutely, it's a good idea. So, are you gonna be around? Aren't you heading out of town?
I'll be around for a month and then I'm gonna be gone for
Okay,
6 weeks.
all right. So would you join this group?
Sure.
Okay, I'll do it. We have somebody from the school that will,
I will do it.
okay.
Great.
And I'm sure, I mean, Kate and I both sit on the IAP board, but I'm sure Barbara would wanna, as long as she
Okay, so
recovers.
can we identify a date sometime in the next week or two where we could have this convention?
Well,
I have a fairly heavy schedule.
you can't suggest it and then say you can't do it.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need Carrie and company to find us a date that doesn't conflict with anything else.
We have a new calendar on the board.
Right,
What about Monday, the
Mon-
12th?
Monday the 12th?
We have a school board meeting at 5:30, but I could do it before or after that.
12 works for me.
Okay.
Is
Say-
Martin Luther King Day?
Kate, you're very faint. We couldn't hear that. Oh, maybe it was something
Are
in
you
the background.
I'm here until the 12th of February.
Sorry, no, I just thought the 12th was MLK Day. Oh, no, it's the 20th this year. Sorry. So my interruption was unneeded because I had the wrong date.
This room is available during the day, but there's a planning board meeting in the evening.
So what time,
Oh, actually, that meeting was just canceled. Never mind. It's available all day.
so what time is your?
So we have a 5:30 to 6:30 school board meeting, but I could do it
Like
before.
3 o'clock in the afternoon work?
You'll be free by 3.
So 3 o'clock, Monday the 12th. And you will contact Barbara and tell her that's what we're gonna try and do.
Yeah, she's not in town, but we'll have Zoom.
Okay.
I don't believe she'll be back. But
Because that's the day we have the meeting.
can you do the 12th?
So personally, I can't see that. Well,
He's just correcting that. We have a meet and greet with them.
Yeah, listen, isn't that the day we have the meet and greet? And there are snacks. That's all I remember.
Snacks.
I think the meeting's at 3:50, or the meet and greet at 2:30, the school meeting is at 3:30.
Oh, okay, so I could be free after 5, so we can do 5.
Okay,
If that works.
5.
No, I thought you had a school board meeting.
No, because that's just telling me it was,
It's moved, we
Oh.
pulled it up earlier.
Oh.
5 o'clock on the 12th.
5 PM works.
5 o'clock, which day was that?
Monday the 12th.
Monday the 12th,
Is that one? Yeah, that one.
maybe.
That's good. Yeah, but actually, no, it's going great.
Oh, next month,
Yes.
not February.
No.
Yes, we
No,
can do that.
well, we're talking about is action. I think it would be quite useful
And we can do it here.
if in anticipation of that, Dan, Philippe, Jennifer, others could come up with a draft little agenda for that meeting that we could focus our attention on. I will do my bit in that way too, but what are the 4 or 5, or 3 or 4, sorry, agenda items on the list?
yep,
Less is more.
happy. We can, I mean, we can. bring
Is Dan
stuff by
available?
email.
Dan, are you available on the 12th?
I probably, I apologize, it was, so, yes, I am.
Okay,
All right.
all right. So, the 12th.
And are you also going to identify a next housing committee meeting?
Yeah, but kind of hard to do without the rest of the group here. And Tom isn't going to be around till, when do you come back?
I'm gonna leave town February 12th and be back the 28th of March.
It's the best part of the year. Can't believe it. The best time on the island.
Are you kidding?
The week of the 9th of February.
It's a very busy week in the evenings here.
March and April, February and March and April, yeah.
All week.
They're tough for a boy that grew up in
Yeah.
Mississippi.
We've got Planning Board, Energy
You have to
Committee,
come swimming with me.
Select Board, Sea Level Rise Committee.
Robert.
What about the previous week?
The first.
It's all wide open.
Christmas
Okay.
Day.
So
Haven't done January yet.
can we schedule a housing committee meeting on the week, let's say February 5th,
All right.
at 5 PM? Kate, does that work for you? Then. 5 PM.
Thank you.
Lindsay, that work for you?
That's great.
All right. And does it still make sense for Peter and I to work on an email to pitch the survey? Because that was what the email was that we were supposed to be writing, was a pitch for the having people fill out the survey. Do we still want to do that?
Sure.
Yes, since
Okay,
we're still
great.
looking at the survey.
So let's just talk either tomorrow or the next day when, what we do to advance that.
Okay, great. Are you available tomorrow evening?
I am.
All right. I'll be at the State House all day, but I'm free tomorrow evening. Sweet. I'll give you a call.
Sounds good.
Thank you for all the work.
Yes,
Thank you.
and also.
Appreciate you guys coming, I really do. Okay, got the next meeting date? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So
A second. What were you gonna say? Collectively.
Wave your hand, say yes, Kate.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. I have eyes all the way around. Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
Daniel.
everybody.
See, I was wrong.
So how do we get together?
Oh, we'll be around.
I want to just.
How was your meeting?